Hello, everyone. In the last week, you will have noticed that the Victorian state government has issued a new planning prospectus, so to speak, or a new planning strategy. And I think part of this process that I've seen so far, it looks a little bit arduous, as a lot of these things are. And I think what we really need to see from the state government is how it's going to be applied at the street level, and what processes and what infrastructure there'll be to cope with this from a council and government perspective in relation to getting these things approved as quick as they say they're going to be, as far as planning permits, etc. go, and speeding up the process. They're talking about having affordable public housing involved in the allocation of these permits on these larger developments. There's always an issue with that. Now, if you're going to do that, say, in areas like Kensington, those areas, you will get away with a certain amount of public housing or affordable housing in those areas. As soon as you start doing it in the regional areas, it has a great effect on regional sales in and surrounding those areas. So what we've actually found is when they're putting public or affordable housing in regional, it does affect the country people rebuying anywhere near there. They've got a real phobia about it, and I've experienced it firsthand many times. Right. In Melbourne, not so much, where we've got a lot more density. But where it's a bit more sparse, it does have a very, very negative effect on the sales for the developer at the normal standard retail level for the normal consumer. They tend to avoid those sort of things. In that particular case, though, there's some very good strategies in this. So when they talk about removing the towers and those sort of things, can I tell you the logistics in doing that? So you've got those 44 or 45 towers. Dan Andrews, before he resigns, very comfortably says that we're going to rehouse them and do all that. Well, we need a strategy around that. That's easy to say. You go and rehouse all those people, and then you've got, where do you put them? Where do they go? What land do we put them on? And do we put them in cabins temporarily? How long will the towers take to rebuild? There are so many questions that a lot of that, it sounded great, but it was all fluff. So in essence, what would have been good when they release a planning proposal like this, or a restructure of the planning statutes, I would say let's talk about the towers first and give us all the breakdown of how that's going to be done. And then next week, release another policy in the planning structure or restructure, and let's talk about how that's going to be implemented. But it was all end game, no work game. And that's what I found light on. So, and that's typical government. And I've got to say, typically, with Dan Andrews, I found that was very, very frustrating for me. But it's just all that and then nothing in the end. And you have a look at the jobs that are currently being undertaken by the government. I'm not here to slam them either, but every job is well over budget. Every job is late. We've got some workers being paid extraordinary money just on supervising the tunnel exit and entry. There's so many things where we're wasting money, and you look at that and you go, wow, really? So to try and sell me on this, without the understructure to show me how it's going to get done, it's like me saying, I'm going to build 40 apartments, but I haven't appointed a builder. It's sort of what it's like. Part of the document provides that certain applications won't need the full rubber stamp like they used to, i.e., blocks over 300 square metres, etc. Now, that used to be 500. So there's some of those sort of things that will get passed. What we need to know is it will get passed without any real hassle. But there'll be some requirements within that. I'd like to see the stipulations more intricate. Instead of just saying that properties over 300 square metres will get passed, I want to know what are the parameters of that. So we need a bit more intricacy in relation to the document. We need the staff to be able to monitor and push that through. And so when the application's in for a certain period of time, they say they're going to just pass it anyway. Well, that's all got to be handled by a department. At the moment, you can ring, and if you've got a permit application in and it passes its application date, you try and ring council right now. Not all councils, but some councils, they take weeks to get back to you, and their period for objections is already well past, and you're still deliberating with them, and you're still waiting on an answer back from them, or they're still working from home, or whatever. And you go, really, man? Come on. My nonna used to say, the eye of the eagle watches sharply. You need to be where all your fledglings are so you can see them and keep them, like I said before, that environment creates innovation and productivity. You need human interaction all the time. It makes you better. You discuss, debate, argue, whatever it might be, but all that interaction, super, super, super important.